Even if you won't believe, smile for me, baby me please, smile. I want to be the one. I want to be your witness, baby. Your voice is crackle. Dance with me, even if you're dancing on. Don't you believe I'm worth the risk? Smile for me, baby, me please. Smile. I want to be your way to die for. I want to be your one that makes you do the things you thought you'd never do. Let me be the one for you. I want to be your weakness, baby. Will you fight for me? Even if I will come, take a ride with me. Going to anybody to look out oh, baby, promise me the world because nothing is too much. You know that I want to be the one way you die for. I want to be the one that makes you do the things you thought you couldn't do. Let me be the one for you. I want to be your weakness, baby. You got things to do, say you don't go do. Let me be the one for you. I want to be your weakness, baby. you. Should you want to every day I pray for you? Oh, in my heart, so there's a permanent place for you. That's why my heart is a beat like you can, you can. Cause now you are true, so I am very
As
I sing for you, wanna be like you can, you can. Baby, now you are the big boy, I am very only for you, it'll be like oh. I sing for you, my baby, oh, baby, oh. I look down, oh, I am very, oh, baby, see me now. If you see that baby, oh, day, my day, my to my down. If you see money, oh, day, my day, my to my down. Oh, yeah, you know, oh, yeah, no, you. Oh, be my Oh, your bandana, baby, I'm your bandana. Oh, sorry, I am your sorry. Oh, sorry, my baby, I'm sorry. Ah, man. Jesus, I can't take your pain away, but I can't make you feel bad. You feel bad if you say another day, say another. We can't do it together. From sundown to sun up, we walk together. We go do the do forever. From sundown to sun up, we walk together. We go do the do together. From your, would you stay with me? Let it dance with you. Baby, wait for me. So I let it go. Would you stay with me? Let it dance with you. I got so that would you find cause I'm all good. You did not give you my life, my love is not up to you. Give it to you, but we go. Baby, now you have to show. If you come, my love is yours. Give it to you, but we go. Baby, now you have to show. Oh, yeah, 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 oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, 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 oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Let me stop the fight, oh, yeah. We got to it together. From sundown to sun up. We walk together. We go do the do forever. From sundown to sun. We walk together. We go do the do together. Baby, wait for your coming. Would you say? Baby, wait for your coming. Would you say? Very best with you. I got so I would look hard. So you make me, so you give me, they make me wanna go. You pay for my money. So you give me, so you give me, they make me wanna go. You pay for my money. Jesus. It's Auburn Sound. Yeah, yeah, Jesus, I slap police for your We go chop. If not to suck the guy, we go suck you. What? We go suck you. I guess you. I guess you. No. I guess you. I guess
As
you.
China has the
Yeah, I go show you for your case. I go snap a baby for your case. I go collect you I go fuck all of them. I go show you for your case. I go snap a baby for your case. I go collect you I go fuck all. Jason, all the people, oh yeah, only for you. If you say me that it's super bad, I walk on me to elevate hospitality. And me and the fight, my body. Oh, I walk on me to elevate. I'm just not that way. It's my mind. I walk on me to elevate. I be down and out. I'm so deep out. I walk on me to elevate. I want to kiss you every day. I'm down and out. I'm so deep out. I want to kiss you every day. Tell me for now, oh baby for now.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. I'm excited to welcome you back to class tonight. So we are starting on a solemn vibe this evening. So the class is ready. Realtor Baruwa is ready. We're just trying to wait for a few more people because we are supposed to kick off. The plan is to kick off 8:10 and this is 8:16. So we are already running behind schedule. So we are going to start now. But before then, let me quickly shout out to the people I can see here. Welcome, Mr. Korede. Welcome, Madam Comfort. Welcome. Welcome, Mr. Peter Folorunsho. Welcome. Who else is there? Mr. Titus. Welcome. Latifat Okoyemi. Welcome. Mr. Titus. Welcome. Thank you for joining early. So we're just going to be starting now. So, as we continue, just pen down your question on the WhatsApp group so that you can have record of all of those questions and the answers.
081 3. Bluetooth mode.
So, welcome, welcome. Let's continue and let's get started. So, thank you for joining, Mr. Ibrahim. Welcome. So let's just kick started. Let's get started already. Um, Join me and welcome Mr. Ibrahim Baruwa for the concluding part of his class. Let me give you a gist before it comes up. What Ibrahim has prepared for us is beyond what our time can take.
0.
And I'm seriously thinking how we are going to be able to, take it all. But God will help us. God will help us. But let me tell you up front, it's loaded and you are just going to love it. So, that said, join me as I welcome for tonight's class Mr. Baruwa.
Entropy now in the
So, we are going to continue from where we started, where we stopped the last time, and then pick it up.
world, right? Worldwide, and they are actually more in even in the top 100, right? So he has $33 billion, right? Um, real estate, Um, so sadly, African real estate is actually very, very on. It is on that tapped, right? It's on that tapped. Don't let me use on tapped. It is tapped yet, but it's still under tapped because there are still opportunities for more development in the sector, right? When it comes to Africa, right? So it currently says that despite the world, despite its large and growing population, controlling about 15% of the world population, the gross asset of real estate in Africa is only 113 billion pounds. So that's supposed to be, sorry, 13 billion euros, right? So is that a pounds? Uh, that should be a pounds, what they call it, um, symbol, right? So that's 113 billion pounds, right? Um, and it's just actually occupying just 1% of the global real estate value. That's just 1% of it, right? So here we have the top five players in the African market, which Nigeria is the fifth position, right? Before second position, but due to the corona and recession that we have had in Nigeria, it has had a very, very devastating effect on the market. But we are actually going to pick up back and gain our spot. So because there are a lot of um, massive investments Nigerian space recently, right? So this is just showing Nigerian real estate sector. So it's for Nigerian real estate. Real estate actually is contributing. Sorry, is the fifth largest contributor to the country's GDP, right? Agriculture and service sector topping the charts. But however, real estate is actually the fifth largest contributor. You know, in 2020, the GDP of Nigerian real estate was 3.96 trillion naira, right? So the government uh, I think the crypto um, teacher will actually agree with me because when crypto was just coming up, you know a lot of persons are were like we're not taking the chance to invest in crypto, but immediately it start booming, people start coming up. But whereas the people that the early adopters then were the one that reaped the more profit, right? So um as of beginning of Q3 2021, more than $2 million were recorded in disclosure funding round by Nigerian prop tech. So when we say prop tech is actually it means the infusion of technology to property development or real estate development, right? So, for example, now people using smart, like I said earlier on, I was involved in the development on app that was geared towards helping people to save to own a property, at a particular period of time. So that's also prop tech because we are using technology to make sure that people access real estate better. So the fusion of technology and property or real estate is referred to as prop tech, and the prop tech startups actually recorded $2 million, which has increased drastically over the years, and this is just 2021. So this is just to show you the acceptability of I've shown you globally, I've shown you in Africa, now I'm showing you in Nigeria, right? So show that there is opportunity in this industry, right? It's not just there, it's not just it's not just one of it's not an hype actually, so these are the opportunities that are in Nigerian industry. So home deficit is actually on the rise, right? So this is just showing us that there's still a large opportunity in the market. It's not yet saturated like other countries. Places like UK, US, the real estate sector there is it's saturated. Because the landed property is no more like that. Everywhere is almost developed. You know, very developed, right? But for Nigeria, we still have some rural areas that's going to be transformed into urban settlement later, right? So this is just opportunity in Nigerian sector, right? So this is just showing us that we have large opportunity. There's still space for a lot of players, right? Whether challenges actually affecting real estate sector, high cost of construction materials, because we import all those things in Nigeria, right? And even now there's even a call for starting to produce um materials for construction in Nigeria. So I actually hope that the new government coming in will actually look into that because it's going to drastically reduce the cost of building and reduce the cost of purchasing property. So there will be more, more access to more access and more players because that's what we need in the industry. Right. So poor access to state land for mass housing, right? You know, surge. Okay, let me explain that part. Um in Nigeria, for Nigeria to actually close the deficits, I think currently we have 28 million or so, 28 million housing deficits, right? So for Nigerians to actually close that gap, we need to do what we call mass housing and not just single housing, right? So, but the access to land for mass housing is not there, right? And this is due to government policy. So acquisition of landed property is actually very very cumbersome in Nigeria right now, right? So if policies can be made to curb this, um, mass housing will actually start coming up and will be on the way to start closing the deficit. So surge in land prices, they're just increasing land prices, and this is just due to policies of government, for you to be able to buy land, um, register the land, do all those sorts legal intricacies of landed properties and real estate. It is very cumbersome, and which makes it very very pricey. So we need change in government policies in the sector to correct that. No, and the other one's excessive financing costs, which actually means for you to buy real estate in Lagos, especially, it's very expensive, right? But there are areas that you can still get affordable options. But looking at the general outlook is actually expensive, right? So this the other one's showing the same thing, expensive residencies, naira depreciation. Yes, that has to do with the economy, right? So once the economy is good, there's going to be also increasing the value of real estate in the country, right? So pure building quality. So this has to do with the recent collapses we have had, over the few months, even over these few months, not over these few years, and this is just due to pure poor supervision of the the how do I call it, the regulators rather, right? So these are challenges, but there are steps to abate these challenges already. You know, I can see them. I've in the news. I've seen them in the news. I've seen them on social media. Um, Governments are actually now being involved in. They are actively involved in trying to curb the challenges. So I know in if not all, few will actually be eradicated right in the coming years. So this is not a scare for people that are trying to come in, right? Because it definitely is going to be attended to. It's just for us to know and how we can navigate through them. So this is just Lagos real estate market. For Nigerian real estate markets, we have the top three locations for you to invest in for like is Abuja, Lagos, and Rivers, right? But for the purpose of this class, we're talking about Lagos real estate markets. We won't delve much into the other part of the other place I mentioned earlier, right? Abuja and Port Harcourt. We'll be focusing mainly so Lagos is the most active scene in the Nigerian market and maintains the most properties in the country, right? This is actually very known. It's known to all, right? So growing from 1.4 billion inhabitants, 22 million, as of today. So you can see you know, we talked about the factors affecting real estate the other time. One of it is population growth, and I said it positively affects real estate, right? So you can see from the year 1950 to the year 2023, there has been a drastic, even an exponential increase in population, right? And which has actually given a positive outlook to the sector in Lagos State, right? So it is said that 86 persons migrate to Lagos every hour, 20,000 people every day, and close to millions, persons every year. So you can see the statistics. People are coming into Lagos. The population growth is, now Lagos is actually the fifth largest economy in Africa. It is the economic and industrial hub of Nigeria. It's home to 200, over 2,000 manufacturing companies and over 2,000 financial. So like I said, the presence of infrastructure, presence of population, presence of industries, and investment, whether foreign direct investments or even indigenous investment, right? These are factors that positively um, affect the the sector in Lagos, Nigeria as a whole, right? So whenever you are seeing that there is influx of all these things, infrastructure, industries, investment into a particular location at the early stage, is very good for you to buy or to be a player in that place, because once that place start springing up, it means what, high demand for it and what also high increase for it. So what most people do, what most real estate investors do is that they are always on the outlook for what location is currently having all these things, at the early stage. So that's one of the hack that is that they use. One of the tricks that they I'm not call it trick. Let me say hack, right? So it's like one of the hacks to so identify the next viable place to invest in when it comes to real estate, right? So 90% of um, investment, right? You know, multinationals, headquarters, they are mostly in Lagos, right? So all the fastest growing mega cities in the world, stable political atmosphere. So that means this simply means there's no too how do I put it? Um, I'm trying to look for the word. There's no too much of discrepancies in political atmosphere in Lagos. There's this political stability because there's there's been this continuity of political ideology in the state. So this is also an effect, a positive effect you know to the sector, right? So fast appreciation property prices and has the highest property value and most vibrant real estate market in Nigeria. So these are just a few characteristics of the Lagos real estate market. So it's just showing some unpicked sublocations in Lagos that are actually showing the boom. So we have the Koyi, which is the most affluent neighborhood, and it also is the most expensive estate in Africa. We have Ibejuleki, which is the new hotspot. We have Ekpe, you know, even the mainlands are there, but for the mainland, it's mainly for rental income. You just build to to rent out to people looking for accommodation. Right? But these areas I mentioned, the Lekki and Ekpe, they are mainly for land banking. And land banking, although we are going to still be looking at what land banking is, right? So, but let me just quickly introduce what land banking is. So land banking is buying properties or landed properties in particular places that is just experiencing development, and keeping it for a particular period of time for you to appreciate, and then you can resell to a future buyer, right? So that's just also these places are actually good for land banking because they are still developing. But mainlands are fully developed. A lot of people come, like the population rise on mainland is actually on the high, you know. So there are less landed properties there, right? Which means they are already at their peak. So it's not going to really appreciate like that. So what people do mostly is to erect buildings there and rent out for um, rental income. Right. So these are just places that are prominent in the real estate sector in Lagos, right? So this is just showing, uh, hottest investment destination in Africa. This is Ekpe with investment up in $200 billion, right? So uh, examples are, the Lekki Free Trade Zone, um, the Dangote Refinery, which is going to be launched is 22nd of May, right? Um, Lekki Free Trade Zone, Lekki Deep Sea Port, Fort Mainland Bridge has been commissioned. Lagos Smart City, Lekki International Airport. These are investments I was talking about. Infrastructure investments by foreign and indigenous, organizations and corporations rather. Right. Um, Expected high demand for residential and commercial properties. Okay, I've said this one before. Beleki is the biggest job creation zone. You know, I mentioned employment opportunities as a factor that affect real estate um, um, growth the other time, right? So you can see that um, Beleki is going to be providing 3,000 direct jobs and 600,000 indirect jobs. Upon completion, right? So you can see that this place is a viable place because there's a estimated high, you know, um, potential for employment in this environment, right? So Lucky Dips reports, all these things are, you know, they are attractions, to invest in these areas that I mentioned in Lagos, right? So you can see there several things like Dubai or Africa, Africa. It has Alara City, which is going to be so this is actually a mixed use city. So both industrial, residential, commercial activities is going to be happening here, right? So Fort Milan Bridge is it that's also like infrastructure. So opening communities to to each other access. So the ease of transportation of goods and transportation of people from one place to another, right? Which is actually very, very, movement is actually a very, very good indicator to invest in a particular place, right? So, so you can see healthcare, um, you know, African largest food park and all those things. So these are just you can just go by them and also try and provide us links to read more about um, all this development projects ongoing in this facilities, right, in this location rather. So now let's talk about urbanization and effect on real estate, right? Now, so this is for their living, which in itself means that more areas is required for the in demand for houses. So this just simply means that the movement of one of people from probably a rural area or even an urban area to another urban area, leads to increase in population, right? So and that's how it works. Increase in urbanization actually means increase in demand for houses, right? Which also means was development of real estate sector, right? So according to UN, approximately 50% of the population lives in urban areas, and this figure is set to reach 65% in the forecast period, owing to the migration into cities that it turns into. So by 2050, the urban population is going to be rise. It's expected to rise rather by 2.5 billion, right? So there's still going to be increase in urbanization its appreciation and development, right? So, so this is just before and after pictures of towns, sorry, cities that these are mega cities that across the world that are big, so you can see when you was just a desert, but now it's fully occupied. You can see Cape Town when it's just like a hilly, state. It's a rocky state. You can see that it's now Nairobi is just like a swampy area. That was inhabited by village people, like villagers, right? But now you can see today. So Accra there and Accra now. So if you if you look at all these cities, that there's a common denomination, you know, to their development, and this is just which includes infrastructure, trade. There was influx of infrastructural activities in there. Sorry, infrastructural development rather. There was influx of trade into the, so they'll keep expansion of cities and also need for houses. So these are before and after period like of top cities across the world, right? So you can see that real estate is never a waste, right? It's never a waste. It's actually investment that you're going to enjoy, you know, for life, right? It's not going to be a waste. So just mind people that own lands here before the advent of um development. Just imagine how their life would be, right? Ikoyi to also because of time I won't be going through this, this actually explains the events, the series of events that happened from when they were still not developed to when they are developed, right? Sure. So I won't be going into them. The slides will be shared to use to look at them, right? So it's just showing the series of events that happened from um days of the area being underdeveloped to when they are now developed, right? So you can see Old Ikoyi, New Ikoyi, Victoria Island, same thing. You can see Old Victoria Island, New Victoria Island, Lekki, Ibejuleki, Ekpe, you know. So these are just showing the evolution of cities from state of when they were still in the undeveloped era to when they now became fully developed. And the denomination is population growth. And what leads to population growth? When there's more infrastructure, when there's influx of investments into the area, the influx of jobs into the area, people tend to move where good things move, right? So, so now these are just trends in real estate. These are new trends. They are new trends, right? They are new trends in the real estate sector, right? Blockchain backed real estate. So this is just simply means now people can now buy real estate in terms of tokens, right? So instead of you buying them in physical assets, you can buy them in the blockchain area. So token simply means when you are buying it in tokens in the blockchain language, right? So I'm not be able to really explain what that means, but means instead of you owning a physical asset in a whole, it is being decentralized into token into small bits, right? So for example, now that means you can own probably 25% of a house in Banana Island instead of you owning the 100% of it. So you can own it with other several investors, right? And you can actually own it in a blockchain environment in tokens. So is that for example, for real estate, it's not liquid, which means that you cannot when it is in a blockchain environment, you can easily turn it into cash, right? So that means it increases the liquidity of real estate, right? So and it's just a recent trend. People are now going into blockchain black back real estate right now. So another trend is 3D printing. So 3D printing is just like a machine that prints houses in bulk, right? So instead of a conventional method of construction, so this machine actually prints in bulk. So I'll see if I can present that video to you so that you can see what I'm talking about. I'll try that after explaining the other threads, right? So smart homes. So this is actually infusing technology into right. So for example now infusing keyless entries, whereby you can just open your door with a fingerprint. You can use a remote to control your window curtains in your houses, right? You can talk to all those things. So that's smart home. So it's a trend in real estate sector in Nigeria. A lot of people are coming up with smart homes right now, right? So there's also what we call fractional ownership. This is synonymous to blockchain, but this is not necessarily in a blockchain environment, right? Because there are now platforms that allow you to, just own a fraction of a particular property, yeah, even without being involved in blockchain, right? So instead of you to own probably a 100% of a plot of land, you can own probably like 25%. So and when it is being sold, you get 25%, of the interest the generated, right? So that's what we call fractional ownership. So so now companies are now coming up with avenues whereby you can just, own a property in fractions instead of owning them in whole. So and this is actually aimed at, making it more accessible to people, right? So these are just the trends, So lastly, I talked about in my communication message, yesterday. I talked about some misconceptions and some roadblocks that that are very very dangerous to one's financial life, right? And it's just these are some of it when it comes to real estate. Well, when it comes to real estate market, right? We understand that even though in the other sectors, stocks, bond, forex, there are a lot of scams, right? A lot of people that are just out there to to scam people, to just take money from them illegally without giving them what was promised, right? But this shouldn't be a criteria for you to to cancel investments totally, right? Because if you're able to do your due diligence very well, which we're going to be talking about in the next class, your due diligence, what to look out for before investing in real estate, what boxes to tick before you say that I'm putting my money in here, right? So once you do your due diligence, in you just need to be involved in more due diligence. So for having trust in a particular vehicle, whether it be real estate, whether it be it cryptocurrency, whether it be it stocks, that doesn't mean you should now cancel because of past experience or or years, right? Another roadblock is not having enough capital. These are actually, how will I put it, an excuse or a fallacy, right? Because now that they are now ways for you to enter into real estate with as low as as low as what you have, right? Even stocks, even bonds, right? Start small, expand big. The mistake we make is that I don't know how it's run, right? So for this, it's just for you to work with a team, right? Well, you know, you know, for you to, for you to invest, just work with a professional that will guide you and put you through and make you sure you invest successfully in a particular vehicle, right? So these are a few of the misconceptions and roadblocks, right? That more I put it, that stop people from investing, and also, very destructive to one financial, because if you do not invest, questions now, right? Today we're talking about, we'll kick off the section two with forms of harvest, right? So we talked about real estate, we talked about these types of real estate we have. We discussed that we are when you hear harvest, what comes to your mind? So I'd like you to share with me your own definition of harvest in the comment section right now before we go in proper. So, what do you know about harvest? What do you understand when you say harvest, right? So I'm waiting. cost section, and I must say that it has been a quite like um, on a lot during the section one, right? Like I promised, we discussed mainly on how to build a strong financial base, and also like a brief introduction to the real estate sector. So we discussed about investment, discussed about savings, we discussed about how to we discuss on different financial freedom stages. We discuss on active income and passive income, and the reasons why you need to prioritize passive income over the active one, right? And also the reason why you need to also prioritize investments, over savings. We discussed about the wealth creation loop, and we said that the wealth creation loop is not complete without investment, right? So introduction to real estate. Briefly, we talked about the global market, talked about the African real estate market, talked about Nigerian real estate market. Then we now went into Lagos real estate market as the core focus, right? So today it's going to be interesting. Like I said, I used to refer that section two, which is is going to be the main gist of the course, because this is what is going to open your eyes to how you can begin a career, or how you can begin your journey into real estate investment. Um, you know, so this section is dedicated to only because it is very very loaded. There are a lot of things you need to know. There are a lot of um, um, a lot of things you need to know. Basically, right? So let's go into the course. Let's go proper into the section two. So I welcome you again into the section two real estate course, or under the School of Assets Management. My name still remains Baruwa Ibrahim, and I'm a real estate investment consultant, and I've been into this for over 3 years now, right? So um, I'm just here to share my little knowledge, like the little knowledge I know, yeah, with you. Right. So let's get into this section proper, right? So today we're talking about we'll kick off the section two with forms of harvest, right? So we talked about real estate, we talked about these types of real estate we have. We discussed that we are expecting reap from what you planted, right? So likewise, real estate investment, when you plant into it, definitely you harvest from it, right? So these are two forms of harvest in real estate. Uh, the first one is rental income, while second one is capital appreciation. So these are the two forms whereby you have from the appreciation of the said real estate asset, right? So it's said there that rent collected by a landlord from a tenant for the use of occupation of the property over a particular period of time. So this can come in form of short term rentals or long term rentals, right? So it is the money collected by a landlord, right? So that means for a rental income to surface, there must be a landlord and there must be a tenant, right? So we also talked about capital appreciation, right? And this simply means the increase in value of the property over time. So, for example, you buy a land in a developing area, and you waited for like 4 years, for full development to take place, right? The value of the property has drastically increased due to the development, of that particular environment, right? So you'll be selling the land for a higher price, right? So that's simply capital appreciation. So you have invested your real estate investment in the form of capital appreciation. But if you are collecting rent, you are invested, you know, your your investment from source of wealth from a form of rent, right? So there are several factors that actually determines where you can invest if your form of harvest is rental income. So you have to look at the location of the particular place, right? Is it residential friendly? That's if you are going to, collecting residential rent, or is it commercial friendly if you are collecting commercial rent? Commercial rent in the sense that, let's say you have chains of, stores, supermarket, and shop, right? So you collect rent from people that that occupy their business in there. So Is the location suitable for commercial purposes? Is the location suitable for residential purpose? For residential purpose, you're looking at school area. You're looking at proximity to conveniences like supermarkets, stores, gyms, and all that. You know, location wise, is it suitable? Is it palatable for either commercial use or residential use? Now, for the inflation, inflation also plays a factor in rent, right? It's said that they are the inflation, they are the rent prices, right? Although there are still some regulatory bodies that comes to also regulate rent, right? It is seen evidently in Lagos, right? I'm not sure about the other they are regulatory bodies, that are regulating rents in Lagos, right? But it might not really seem effective now, but I'm sure that over the next few years, it's going to be very, very stringent, right? So proximity to like I said, this is also synonymous to location, right? Proximity to places that aids the purpose of what you want to use it for. You know, that aids convenience living for residential purpose, that aids business what they call it business growth for commercial purpose, right? So you need to look at the proximity of that area. So accessibility simply means accessibility to one town to the other. Understand? That's simply the infrastructural the infrastructural outlook, right? So is it accessible to other towns, right? Because for 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 business growth, you need accessibility to you know other towns and cities because of probably if especially an industrial place that for example like warehousing, you know you need to make sure that it's well accessible to other places too. So for capital appreciation, these are the things that you need to look out for. The urban development simply means what are the kind of development um, projects ongoing in that area, right? You need to ascertain that yet. So same as accessibility explained earlier, proximity also the same thing. So the last one is the demand and supply function. Now, the higher the demand for a particular place, the what the higher the value increases, right? Is there a high demand for land for either commercial use or residential use there, right? So you need to also ascertain that. So this is just basically these are basically was from a form of rent, right? So there are several, that actually determines where you can invest if your form of harvest is rental income. So you have to look at the location of the particular place, right? Is it residential friendly? That's if you are going to, collecting residential rent, or is it commercial friendly if you are collecting commercial rent? Commercial rent in the sense that, let's say you have chains of, stores, supermarket, and shops, right? So you collect rent from people that, that occupy their business in there. So is the location suitable for commercial purposes? Is the location suitable for residential purpose? For residential purpose, you're looking at, school area. You're looking at proximity to conveniences like supermarkets, stores, gyms, is it suitable? Is it palatable for either commercial use or residential use? Now, for the inflation, now inflation also plays a factor in rent, right? It's said that they are the inflation, they are the rent prices, right? Although there are still some regulatory bodies that comes to also regulate rent, right? It is seen evidently in Lagos, right? I'm not sure about the other locations, right? So they are regulatory bodies, that are in Lagos, right? But it might not really seem effective now, but I'm sure that over the next few years, it's going to be very, very stringent, right? So proximity to like I said, this is also synonymous to location, right? Proximity to places that aids the purpose of what you want to use it for. You know, that aids convenience living for residential purpose, that aids business what they call it, business growth for commercial purpose, right? So you need to look at the proximity of that area. So accessibility simply means accessibility to one town to the other. Understand? That's simply the infrastructural the infrastructural outlook, right? You need to make sure that it's well accessible to other places too. So for capital appreciation, these are the things that you need to look out for. The urban development simply means what are the kind of development um, projects ongoing in that area, right? You need to ascertain that yet. So same as accessibility, now the higher the demand for a particular place, the what the higher the value increases, right? Is there a high demand for land for either commercial use or residential use there, right? So you need to also ascertain that. So this is just these are basically two forms in which you can invest your money, either in rent or in capital appreciation, right? So like I said earlier on, you might not be actually be involved in collecting like rent from the property directly. It might be in an indirect form, right? So and that will I'll shed more light to that to this my explain to this my point in the next slide. So now we've looked at the forms of investment, forms of harvest, right? Let's look at the investment strategies, right? So how do you milk land from the honey? You know, how do you milk? So we know that there's an harvest already, but how do we milk? There are several ways you can plant. I think you can plant. I'm looking for a plant that has multiple ways you can plant it. I might not. Okay, it's not nothing is coming to my head, but I know that there are some plants that you can plant. Like there are some produce that you can plant in several ways. Probably you can use region for a particular um, method, and you can also access other methods for it, right? So same as real estate, there are several ways you can You can plant your parcel of land. Is that they provide these facilities that are needed to, build a residential community for you. So things like drainages, like street lights, like um, gatehouse, like the road access, you know, greenhouse, gym, recreational environment. So what they do is that they provide those facilities for residential conveniences, right? So what they do is that they buy lands from intending homeowners, right? So that's what basically what they do, right? And they are the one also providing those facilities for you. So there's what we call site and service. So it just simply means they provide the site for you, and they also provide the facility Yes, you're welcome to the School of Assets Management, the real estate course for commercial purpose, right? So what they do is that they provide those facilities for residential conveniences, right? So what they do is that they buy lands from family members, they um, resell to home home like intending homeowners, right? So that's what basically what they do, right? And they are the one also providing those facilities for you. So there's what we call site and service. So it just simply means they provide and they also provide the facilities for you. So it's called site and service development. And there's also one that called what they do is that they only provide the site. They do not go on to provide facilities for you, right? So it can either be a site development or a site and service development. So people that go into these have access to large finance, probably financing from their own personal pockets or financing from financial institutions like banks, mortgage banks, commercial banks. So these are the kind of people that go into them. Now we also have what we call buy and hold. It's also referred to as land banking. So it's like buying and holding a property for a period of time. So you just go to places that are developed climb the ladder and you start constructing buildings for purpose of long term or short term rent. Then the location also matters, right? What location are you looking at, right? So you need to determine what location you are looking at. There's some locations that are fully occupied. There are no lands there anymore. So what's your best bet is buying buildings and renting it out for short term or long term rent, right? So what's your purpose for investment, right? You also need to determine purpose of investment. Do I want to collect rent? Do I want to collect? Do I want to, get capital appreciation on it? You have to determine your purpose. So, what is your expected return on investment, right? You know, each of these strategies actually have different ROIs, right? The development purpose actually gives more money than any of all this, because that this one you are engaging in you know, high capital intensive real estate, right? So your ROI is slated to actually be higher than any of other, you know, all of this, right? Shortlets. So you need to determine your expected return, your expected ROI. It also gives you an edge on what to, how to determine what strategies fits you best. Now, the last one is laws of real estate. So this actually differs with locations, right? Uh, so, for example, now there are a lot of taxation that um, goes into what they call it buildings, right? There are a lot of taxation that goes into buildings, and if you are collecting rent also too, a lot of taxation goes into rent, right? So we have the withholding tax, for also capital appreciation, if you want to sell out to people, there's capital gain tax, right? These are things that you're still going to look at the subsequent slides, right? So you need to also consider real estate laws. You know, would this law favor me? Like, am I okay with this law? You ask questions, so before you delve into um, any of these strategies mentioned. So quickly, let's look at how to access finance to to get real estate, to purchase real estate. So there are several ways you can access finance. The first one is self financing. That is that it means that um, one 100% of the money used in purchasing or investing in particular property is coming from your pocket, from your account. So it means what, that the 100% um, money needed towards purchase or invest in an investment in a real estate assets is coming from your what, from your account. So it can either be done outrightly or in installment, right? So the first one is outright. Outright simply means you are paying at once, right? While the other one is what, you are paying in bits till you uh, over a particular period of time. Agreed between both the buyer and the seller. You understand, or between both the investor and the company that is giving out the investment, right? So um, another way you can finance is debt financing, which simply means financing with debt, financing with borrowed money, right? So that one we'll look at more in the subsequent slides, right? Then the other way you can access finance is through co-ownership. We discussed co-ownership as a strategy here, um, you know, to get the harvest from real estate, right? So simply means, instead of you funding it by yourself, why don't you fund this with a friend, or fund it with someone that you feel that might be a good business partner, right? So this is done mainly on properties that you want to get capital appreciation on, or you want to get what they call it, um, rental income on. So it can be done on properties that are meant for personal use, because there's no use owning a property that two of you will live only if you are spouses, right? You know, only if you are family and you decide to do that. But it's mainly done on properties that are suited for um, capital appreciation. Now let's talk more on debt financing. Now this simply means it involves using what borrowed money from a lender to purchase a property instead of buying property entirely with your own capital. We said the self financing is involves you buying the property or investing in the assets with entirely your capital. But this is actually, you know, saying that you are using broad money, um, inclusive of your capital, but not entirely your capital, right? So now that's where what we call mortgage comes in. Now, what does mortgage means? It means a type of loan used to purchase or maintain purchase a home, land, or any type of real estate. Now, who gives out this mortgage? They are called mortgage banks, right? They lend money to their borrowers, either collect installments with a fixed rate or sell the loans to secondary market, right? So people that give out this mortgage is called the mortgage bank. Now, there are several types of mortgage. Is We have the residential mortgage and the commercial mortgage. Simply means um, mortgage given out to build houses, for personal houses that you plan to live in. So that's a residential mortgage. Why the one given out to acquire properties that are meant for commercial purposes is referred to as the commercial mortgage, right? So this is another way you can finance, real estate apart from using your entire capital. Now we have the federal. Now these are bodies that are engaged in giving out mortgage to um, people in Nigeria, right? So we have the Federal Mortgage Bank, which is solely a public sector, while we have the Nigerian Mortgage Refinance Company, which is a like a public-private partnership, right? So um, the FMBM is solely, they give out loans to people, to people looking out to build houses, right? Both the salaried and the non-salaried, right? That means both people that are collecting salary and the ones that are not collecting salary. Why this the other body do not finance, like do not give out mortgage directly to people. What they do is that they finance, commercial mortgage banks and like they finance all primary financial institutions. That's what they do. So they're the one that they're like a link between the capital market and the housing market, right? So the assets fund from the capital markets, right? And they pump it into the housing markets. So what they do is that they are the one in charge of giving out liquid to when I say liquid cash, I mean cash money to the financial institutions that now in turn give mortgages to the primary consumer, right? So now this leads us to a product of the FMBN. So it's called the NHS. That aims at long-term money in order to put us with low interest loans to help people who cannot afford commercial housing loans to own houses, right? Now, you know how we have CBN and we have the commercial banks. So this is similar from the commercial mortgage banks, but we also have loans from the FMBN, which is the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria. Definitely, the aim is to subsidize this loan so that they can be accessible to more people, right? You cannot compare the loans that we're getting from CBN to loans that we're getting from commercial banks, right? So because CBN is a government-owned body, while commercial banks are privately owned, and anything privately owned comes expensive, right? Yeah. So this is the same analogy as CBN is to the commercial banks. That is how the FMBN is also to the commercial mortgage banks, right? They are looking to buy or to build houses, right? And how is this done? So this is done by contributing 2.5% of your monthly salary to FMBN, right? So that means either you are a self-employed or an employed person, your salary monthly is being was contributed to the scheme, right? So these are characteristics of NHF. Now, a borrower may be eligible to borrow a maximum limit of 50 million, right? So that's the maximum you can get from the the NHF, what they call it. So that's the maximum you can get from the National Housing Fund, and the interest rate is 6% per annum. You can see that it's very low. If you know the amount the commercial houses are collecting from, they're collecting up to 18% per annum, right? So, but for NHF, it's giving out 6% per annum. You can repay FMBN loan for a period of 30 years, right? So your repayment period can be up to 30 years. Then it comes with a housing loan of up to 90% of the cost of the house, right? So that means an NHF loan cannot fund 100% of the housing of the um, of the house you want to get. So the highest it can fund is 90%. That means you have to have a down payment of at least 10% of the value of the house you want to purchase, or the property you want to purchase, right? So what this funds does is that it can fund up to only 90%. You get so that means the other 10% has to come from you. You understand? But I know um, the maximum loan you can get is 50 million. So this is actually, you got used to finance probably landed properties that are, that are not that too capital intensive, or buildings that that are probably bungalows that are within the range of 15 million, 20 million naira. You know, so that's all about the national housing funds. Now we have others like the housing microfinance scheme. We have the guarantee program. So the first one is mainly used probably, let's say you want to improve your house, right? Probably for um, innovation, right? So for innovation, or for um, incremental buildings, right? Probably maybe you started building your house, you have a land, and you started building your house, and you don't have money to finish it. So you can access the housing microfinance scheme, right? Or you want to renovate something in your house, you do not have money to, you can access the housing microfinance scheme. The second one is the guarantee program. This is for people that do not even have money to access to for down payment, right? So down payment simply means the money you put down before you can access loan. So, for example, I think the popular proportion is the 80-20% rule. So that means for you to access loan, you need to have 20% of the value of that particular property. So the least you can get is 80%. But for the NHF fund, you can get up to 90%, right? But for the other commercial banks, they might be telling you that you need to be to meet up with the 25% or 20% down payment, right? So what this guarantee program does is that for people that do not even have access to the down payment, they help them, right? So the last one is RSA. So RSA simply means retirement savings account, right? So people that have pension accounts, with Pencom. So Pencom is also a government body that manages pension fund. So it can be from self-employed and also the employed persons too can also have an RSA account. So there's a law that just came out recently that says that you can access 25% of your RSA account towards contributing to your to equity simply means that this if you have an RS, RSA account rather, you can use this um, to 5% as a down payment to access loan from other mortgage banks, right? So this is a recent law being passed by Pencom, you know, and there are some requirements that you need to also meet before you can access this also, you know. Probably I'm going to share with us links on several on Pencom, on NHF, on several bodies that facilitate mortgage, right? So now this your eligibility for mortgage. Um, your monthly income has to meet up with at least the annual repayments, right? Your monthly expenditure, you have to also ascertain that, because the monthly income that is sorry the monthly repayment that is required for mortgage, you know you have to meet up with it, but it must not um mu- hinder what you already have for your monthly expenses. So if you know that after paying my monthly mortgage, I will not have enough to cater for my monthly expenditure. That means you are not yet eligible for mortgage yet, right? So the difference from your monthly mortgage payment from your normal income has to also be able to cater for your monthly expenditure. So that's what this means. Now, your existing debt profile. This actually means what's your credit score, right? Credit score simply means, now do you have debt that are not being attended to yet? So are you credit worthy? Do you pay your credits on time with other credit outlets, right? So if your debt profile is not good, it's not a good one, you cannot access mortgage. That means you're not worthy with credit, right? But people cannot trust you, or companies cannot trust you with credits. So your debt profile has to be a good one before you can be eligible to get mortgage. Now, the value of property you want to finance also too is very, very important for. Um, so is it something that is corresponding to your income, right? Is it something that you can afford? So if it's something that your monthly income cannot cater for, the the financial institution will not pass you out for mortgage. Like, you won't get approval, to access mortgage from them. So these are the eligibility for NHF, right? For you to qualify for the National Housing Fund, this is just the eligibility, something that you can read later. So now, it's something for you to finance projects, but if you put in money into a bad real estate investment, you are going to bear the brunt, right? So this is where due um, diligence comes in. So it simply means investigations conducted on a particular thing. In here, we're talking about assets, real estate assets, you know, prior to carrying out any activity on that thing. So it simply means by investigation of a of various aspects of completing a transaction with the seller, right? So there are the things that you must do before you put money down, for for any assets, So before you complete a transaction with a seller of any asset, you must do this due diligence, right? So it's one of the most important steps in real estate purchasing. Now, look at the importances of due diligence. Now, it helps you ascertain the true ownership of the property. It helps to uncover flaws in an investment. So if there's a pending litigation, probably there's a court case on a property, or probably the 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 company giving out property is not genuine. They're not duly registered with the bodies that are um, regulating real estate in Nigeria. So it helps you uncover all those flaws, right? It also helps you determine if there are any defects in the property. So this has to do with physical inspection, right? Probably, if you want to buy a house and the structural um, outlook is not, it's not giving giving you the like what you want, right? Probably there are cracks on the walls, bad doors, bad ceilings and all those things. So it allows you know if there's any defects. Sector It allows you assess risks associated with property you're planning to purchase. And then lastly, it also ensures that there are no legal encumbrances. So that means that probably there's no legal, fraud on property. It is owned by who said um, owned by the seller. It is owned by the seller. There's no court case on it. There's no any litigations on it. All titles are being what are duly processed from the government. You need to also cover the truth before you put your money into any real estate asset, right? Then we have different forms. You have the physical form. You have the right? So for physical, like I said, it simply means going there to inspect and see yourself. And this is something that So probably someone told you that the land is close to the road.
So please, I need you to start dropping your questions. One of the things we are going to do to make sure you will agree with me that this lecture is bulky and in depth, and it's something we need to watch and watch and watch again. We are going to find a way to get all of this video and put it on the YouTube channel so that you can watch as many times as you want to. We have this whole week to ask questions from Mr. Baruwa, because I believe there's so much we can learn watching this thing over and over and over and over again. Now I'm already thinking of something, but then I need all of us to watch and understand this, and then we can be on the same page when I open the discussion about what I'm talking about or what I'm currently thinking about. But then let's continue after this particular video. I will call it a day. We have just one video of 24 minutes left, but we won't be doing that tonight. So after this particular one, we'll call it a day. But then give me 24 hours after, then we'll put all of them on the YouTube channel and drop the link on the WhatsApp group for us to study and work and watch as well. And I want to trust that you will watch all of them and make this lecture count. He has given us his energy, time, and expertise for free. We should make it worth it. Let me also let you know that Mr. Baruwa is currently not with us tonight, and the sincere reason is actually on medication. So I didn't even know he was sick 2 days ago. But even despite that, he was able to pull this off for us. I didn't know. He didn't inform me. I guess he knew that if I was informed, I would probably have switched his class to somebody else. But he just wanted to. He loved us so much and wanted to do this for us. So please, let's make it count. And that's why he won't even be answering questions on the YouTube channel here. You'll be answering all your questions on the WhatsApp group when he's ready to do that. So make this count. I've said that so that you can understand the level of sacrifice he has made to make sure that we get the best of knowledge here. So let me just let this finish and then we can call it a day tonight.
Have you been there yourself to see if it is really close to the road, right? So I've seen places that they say the land is close to the road, and probably the land is like maybe 3 kilometers from the road, right? So physical inspection lets you ascertain what the seller tells you about a particular property, right? The legal one is actually the one that shows you if the title is actually owned by the seller itself, right? If it has the correct legal documentations that it needs to have, right? So if it is the government acquired area, you understand, places that are mainly for government have already marked that particular area for for social amenities like pipe-borne waters, roads, railways, you know, legal diligence will help you what uncover all this. Now, the third one is the corporate diligence. This has to do with the company itself or the seller itself, right? You know, especially if you're buying from the company. So, is the company duly registered with the bodies that are that are in charge of real estate? What they call it? Real estate practice in Nigeria. So we need to also uncover these things, right? Then the last one is financial diligence. This actually has to do with, would this property give me what I want? You know, you have to also, if if you are trying to get rental income from it, will it give me so amount in so day? You understand? Will I be able to generate so profit in so period of time? So this is just the financial uh, uh, diligence. You need to also look at that part too. So this also, what you are saying, similar to um, title search, similar to, so this is actually trying to buttress my point on legal um, diligence the other time. You understand? So you can just look through this one. This is self explanatory. Now, some people call the Land Use Act, and it's a law that was promulgated on the 29th of March, um, 1978. It states that what, that all lands, right, comprised in the territory of each state, uh, except land vested in the federal government, are owned by the are solely in the what, governor of that state, who will hold such land in the trust of people, and will henceforth be responsible for the allocation of land in all urban areas to individual residents. So it means that all lands are vested upon the governor of that state, right? So all lands belongs to the governor of that state, right? But you can actually what, access it from the governor only by his or her consent, right? So that's just the summary of that law. Right? So now this is just showing the um, title of occupant, like title that can be on lands, right? You know, uh, different titles that can be on land and their hierarchy. You know, so this is the highest hierarchy. You know, you can get certificate of occupancy, right? So this actually is issued upon payment to any person. You know, it's actually giving the right of occupancy to someone that, that owns that land, right? You know, so it's a legal document issued by the government that proves that the person owns the land in Nigeria. So it's proving that this person owns the land, and it's actually under a period of 99 years, right? So government is actually was giving you a right of occupying that land. So the documents you own by this person is called C of O, certificate of occupancy, which means occupying the land. So the government of that are giving you what? Are giving you right to occupy the landed property. You
So, like I said earlier, we have just one video left of 24 minutes, but we want us to go with that tonight. It's already late. This is 9:49. So I said something the other time, and I'm not sure we all heard what I said. But please, if you can hear me or you heard what I said earlier, can you just put a message in the comment section? Let me know we all got what I said concerning the sacrifice that Rito Baruwa has done for us, even though he's on medication, he's not feeling too well, but he still made this for us and then pull it through. Actually, the idea of video was to curb the internet issue so that we don't have to do live and then network affecting us. That's why these videos were recorded. And then he had to sacrifice the time and energy to make sure that these are done. So what I'm going to do is to make sure that these videos are available on the channel so that we can watch them, over and over again, to have a proper understanding of what he's talking about, and we can have few discussion after. Like I said, we have this whole week to ask questions from Rito Barua. He will be on the group. So as you watch the videos and study the slide, please get your questions and drop them on the chat box for him to answer. Now I've said few things already, and I can't see anybody drop a message for me on the chat box. Is my audio okay? Can anyone hear me at all? Hello, can anyone hear me? Please confirm you can hear me. If you can hear me, please confirm. So I guess no one can hear me. So I guess no one can hear me tonight. Wow, network is really terrible. It's okay. So let's just call it a day and then we pick it up from there in the WhatsApp group. Thank you so much for coming tonight. Do have a great night's rest and have a great week ahead. Thank you.